Inflation. It's a word that might sound like something reserved for economists and financial experts. But trust me, it's something we all encounter every day, whether we're buying a cup of tea or stocking up on aubergines at the local market. Hello everyone and welcome back to Moloney Street Ray. Today we're diving deep into a topic that affects every single one of us: inflation. Did you know that over the past decade, the average household's purchasing power has dropped by nearly 20%? That's right. Your hard-earned money is gradually losing its bite. And today we're going to explore exactly what's happening to it. In today's video, we're going to break down the ins and outs of inflation, discover its causes, and find out how it's affecting our wallets both here in the West and across Africa. Imagine this. A few years ago, you might have bought a pint of milk for 50 pence. Today, that same pint could easily cost 70 pence or even more. This isn't just a matter of rising prices. It's the result of inflation slowly eroding the value of money. In simple terms, inflation means that each pound you earn buys you less than it did before. It's like watching your savings shrink without you ever having to spend a single coin. And it's not just a minor inconvenience. In households across the UK, Europe, and even in parts of Africa, families are feeling the pinch. In some African nations where inflation rates can soar dramatically, the impact is even more severe, with basic necessities like food and fuel becoming ever more unaffordable. Whether you're grabbing a takeaway in London or buying groceries in Lagos, inflation is quietly nibbling away at your budget. Now, let's roll up our sleeves and get into what's behind inflation. There are a few key factors at play. One of the primary drivers of inflation is monetary policy. Central banks, like the Bank of England, control the money supply and set interest rates. When they decide to print more money or lower interest rates, it can lead to increased spending. Sounds great, right? But too much money chasing too few goods inevitably drives prices up. In recent years, policies aimed at stimulating the economy, especially after economic downturns, have sometimes led to higher inflation. Supply chain disruptions are a major contributor to inflation. Global events like the recent pandemic have caused significant delays and shortages. This isn't just a UK problem. It's been felt worldwide. For instance, many African nations have experienced delays in receiving imported goods, which can lead to higher prices as demand outstrips supply. When the cost of raw materials goes up, businesses often pass these costs on to consumers. Take, for example, the dramatic increase in the price of fuel. Not only does this affect the cost of petrol for your lorry or car, but it also increases the price of transporting goods. This domino effect means that everything from your morning newspaper to the vegetables in your local market can become more expensive. Inflation isn't contained by borders. Trade disputes, political instability, and even climate change can have ripple effects across the global economy. In some African countries, for example, political uncertainty has led to economic instability and high inflation, while in the West, the interplay between global supply and demand can send prices soaring. Let me share a couple of real-life examples to illustrate how inflation is impacting both households and businesses. Meet Sarah, the owner of a quaint little bakery in Manchester. A few years ago, Sarah could source her flour and sugar at reasonable prices, and her customers delighted in affordable treats. However, as inflation set in, the costs of these essential ingredients began to rise. To maintain her quality and stay afloat, Sarah had no choice but to increase her prices. While her loyal customers understand the need for a modest rise, many are feeling the pinch as everyday essentials become less affordable. Sarah's story is a microcosm of what many small businesses face today, balancing the need to cover rising costs without alienating customers. Now, let's travel to Lagos, Nigeria, where inflation has had an even more dramatic effect. The Adeoye family, like many others, has seen the cost of living skyrocket over recent years. Items that were once considered luxuries, such as fresh fruits and vegetables, have become daily challenges. With inflation rates sometimes reaching double digits, the Adeoyes have had to rethink their budget entirely. They now prioritize essential purchases and seek out local alternatives to imported goods, all while trying to maintain a modest standard of living. Their experience highlights the broader economic challenges that many African households face in an inflationary environment. These examples, though from different parts of the world, underscore one vital point. Inflation doesn't discriminate. Whether you're a small business owner in Manchester or a family in Lagos, rising prices and eroding purchasing power affect us all. So, what does this mean for you and your money? Let's break it down. Inflation quietly chips away at your savings. If your money isn't growing at the same pace as inflation, you're effectively losing value over time. This is why many financial experts advise investing in assets that are likely to outpace inflation, such as property or stocks. Everyday expenses, from bills to groceries, are on the rise. For many, this means making difficult choices about what to spend on and what to cut back on. Budgeting becomes more challenging as prices rise unpredictably. Inflation can also affect your investments. For instance, if you hold cash in a savings account with a low interest rate, you might find that the real value of your money diminishes over time. On the other hand, investments in stocks or property can offer returns that potentially outstrip inflation. High inflation often leads to economic uncertainty. This can discourage long-term investments and planning, making it harder for businesses to grow and for households to save for the future. So, what can you do in the face of rising inflation? Look into investments that have historically outpaced inflation. This might include property, equities, or even inflation-indexed bonds. The key is to ensure that your money grows in real terms, not just in nominal value. Keeping a close eye on your budget can help you manage rising costs. It might be time to reevaluate your spending habits and cut back on non-essential items. Knowledge is power. Keep up to date with economic news and understand how global events might impact inflation. This will help you make proactive decisions rather than reactive ones. Diversification isn't just a buzzword, it's a strategy. By spreading your investments across different asset classes and regions, you can mitigate the risks associated with inflation in any one area. Remember, inflation may be a force of nature in the world of finance, but by staying informed and making smart choices, you can safeguard your financial future. In summary, inflation is a multifaceted phenomenon driven by monetary policy, supply chain issues, rising production costs, and global economic factors. Its impact is far-reaching, eroding the value of your money, affecting your cost of living, and even challenging the viability of your long-term financial plans. Whether you're in the heart of the UK or in bustling Lagos, the effects of inflation are real and tangible. If today's video has given you a clearer picture of what's really happening to your money, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you experienced the impact of inflation in your daily life? What strategies are you using to combat its effects? Please leave your comments down below. Let's get a conversation going. And don't forget to subscribe to Moloney Street Re for more in-depth, insightful, and yes, even fun discussions on all things financial. If you're keen to explore related topics, check out my next video where we'll delve into practical investment strategies to outsmart inflation. Thank you for watching, and until next time, take care of your money and it will take care of you. Remember, understanding is the first step to empowerment. Stay savvy, stay informed, and keep that financial future bright.